Hey everybody, thanks for joining in on my first video for 2018. This ride was checking out the snow level on Interstate 90. There's a bunch of different Forest Service roads that go off that highway that goes over the pass between eastern and western Washington. And in this case, I started out by going up this road called Tinkham Road, and about 3/4 of the way on that road, you can take a right and head up this Forest Service Road 5510 that takes you up to Hanson Ridge. Nice road, mostly smooth, a little bit of rutting here and there, nothing terrible, but you get some great views. And as you can see here on the video, I started running into snow. That was somewhere in like the 2,800 foot level, and it just would be in the shady spots, and then it was absolutely beautiful whenever the sun was touching. By the way, this day was our amazing day of 90-degree weather here in the Northwest, so there were a lot of folks out. Get some great views coming up to Hanson Ridge. I had to stop here and take a couple photos because it's just amazing. And then I continued on and saw the snow getting a little bit wider, a little bit more persistent. Some of it even where there's a little bit of sunshine. And it isn't too far here up the road that unfortunately the snow got bad enough that being by myself I was afraid to push through because the tracks were basically packed ice at that point, and I just thought it a bit too sketchy on my F800 adventure to continue on. So as anybody should do when they're up doing these kinds of rides and they get turned around, it's time to park the bike and take a photo. So after I came back down from Hanson and finished up going down Tinkham Road, I popped in to head up to the Denny Creek Campground and beyond, see if I could make it all the way up to the Snoqualmie summit. And it's a beautiful little paved road, very narrow, but has some really scenic areas with some bridges, some pretty old trees. As you can see here, some views of Interstate 90 heading back westbound, and the mountains and these big old rocks. Really pretty. So I'm cruising along, enjoying this ride, and figure everything looks good so far. And then I start coming across little bits of snow, but it's not covering the road completely, so I can go through. Other people have gone through, so I figure I'm going to be able to get myself up there no problem. And then as I pass under I-90, I start picking up some more snow. It's melting pretty quick, no big deal. I'm home free at this point. I'm probably 100, 150 yards from finishing up this road and being at Snoqualmie Summit when I notice there's more and more snow, and then in the distance I see this giant pile, and it looks like the snow plows have decided to use that area to dump all the snow. And it went edge to edge, and it's hard to see in this picture, but on both sides there was no way to get around it on the bike. So time for another U-turn back 10 miles or so. Not bad though, because I get to follow the creek and check out what I just ridden past. And it's always different when you go the other direction. You see more things, different things. Beautiful creek here, nice bridge, and then it was time to head back onto I-90 to get up to the summit. And as you see here, there's a lot of people out. Beautiful day with all kinds of adventure things, quads and motorcycles and boats and all kinds of stuff hooked up. So I get up to the west summit, take the exit, and see what's going on at the pass. Spring skiing had been pretty good, so I wanted to see how much snow was still up here. Well, as you can see, it's pretty much gone. So skiing's done for the year. I suppose some nuts are probably going up checking a few things out. So when you exit the pass, you can pop out on this other Forest Service road that'll take you all the way up to Stampede Pass. And Stampede Pass has a dirt route that'll take you all the way to the little town of Greenwater on Highway 410. So I wanted to take this. This is probably 10, 12 miles until you get to Stampede Pass. But it didn't take long since I was already at the summit of cruising up this thing, and I started running into snow. Some of the stuff though is the last ride I did up here last year is there was a grader up here doing a bunch of work, and so it was super loose, kind of sketchy to ride, and it was all packed in really nice now. So here I am again. I ran into to more snow. What you don't see is I got off the bike. I actually walked up around the hill. I wanted to see how much snow was there, and there was a lot. So came back down, took a couple pictures of Lake Kitchlees, jumped back on the highway, and then back at the summit because it was time to get a little bit of lunch. There is a little shack up there for getting coffee and stuff next to the grocery store, and they have these corn dogs, which are kind of gigantic, and most people call them porn dogs. So had me a porn dog because I was starving, and then worked my way back down towards North Bend and hit the middle fork of the Snoqualmie River's road, and it used to be all dirt. Then they paved most of it until you get to pretty much the very end, and you go over a little bridge and you get a little bit of dirt. It's all just potholes, nothing big. Bunch of people were parked here because you can take a right to get up to the Dingford trailhead, and this right, once you take it, it's got a bunch of washouts, a bunch of huge holes, water, so unless you're in a big Jeep or something like that, most people are staying away. I noticed that there was also apparently a big slide that came through, so there's a rig, cleaning that stuff up. Looks like some logs, so maybe they did a little logging up here too, but it was a bit of a slow slog because it's narrow, so couldn't tell if any rigs were coming the other way, but also just a lot of loose rock. Like I said, a lot of deep potholes. A lot still had water in them, which I was kind of surprised, and so you couldn't tell if they were just small or if they were going to be bike swallowing. And then a bunch of areas where there were washouts across the road. I always think it's fun though in trails like this to just kind of play, really work on maneuvering the bike, getting used to it. This bike's new to me. I've only had it for a few months, so steering with the pegs or steering with your knees and just kind of going back and forth, staying out of the mud puddles, using that not so much to keep the bike clean, but really just to get used to how it feels underneath you. I didn't have any panniers on. The only thing I had was some crash bar bags with tubes and some tools in a tail bag. So unfortunately you get out to the end of this thing, there were the few vehicles that could park, and then it was turn around and come back. All the cars up there, they were probably hiking out to the hot springs or something like that. So boogied my way back and decided to hit Olallie State Park. It's a cool little park because it's got a river next to it, and there's a dam right there at the park, and so there's like a waterfall coming down, and then where the water comes out with the overflow spillway, probably the turbine generation unit is inside this big box that's there. But I always find it really pretty and relaxing because once you get past that, the river's just kind of this really wide, really shallow. You could probably walk all the way across it and not be above your knees. So being that it was 90 degrees too, I thought getting down by the water would be kind of nice. So this thing is called the Weeks Falls Hydroelectric Project, and like I said, cool set of falls. While I was there, various people were coming out to check the place out. I'd love to get my fishing pole down around the edge of that, where that hole is. There's got to be some nice fish hanging out in there. So I need to bring my collapsible rod. I need to see if you're allowed to fish near it. And there's that probably the exit for the turbines or the overflow. I'm not sure. With it being so warm, there's just tons of snow melt, so a lot of water running. And then, like I said, you get out, and then here's just the beautiful meandering river at this point. So that was kind of the end of my ride. At that point, I jumped on the highway and headed home. Time to finish up the day.